Hey, I'm Arne, founder and CEO of AcademicLabs, and in this video, I'm going to show you how you can find a list of therapeutic biotech startups who show signals that they're ready to work with a CDMO anytime soon. So how do we do that in AcademicLabs? We have 506,000 companies, so we want to find those companies that are preclinical therapeutic startups. So that's the first thing you can click on, easy. Usually they should have raised funding. Otherwise, it's pretty hard to work with a CDMO. So let's say we go for a last funding round as a early stage VC. So that's a Series A or a Series B. It could include as well seed rounds if that could be sometimes the case. Employee-wise, probably it's 11 to 50 employees. Could be 2 to 10. 51 seems to be maybe a bit high, but you could choose that as well as an option. Now, we can go with those, but we could also do a search. So I could search for preclinical, IND enabling, pre-IND, GLP, safety manufacturing, pharmacology, and so on. So you could add a couple of terms. We can do more, of course. And now it searches through all the information we have about each of those companies. So we could go individually assessing those, but that's not the goal. Of course, we want to assess which ones are now really ready. It's not because they mentioned it somewhere in a website, on a publication, or a patent, or a grant, or a news article that they are ready. I have to mention one of those terms, but our AI can assess that. So we can evaluate up to 2,000 companies, or 50, but then with the reports. But let's say in this case, we want to make a list, 1,000 companies, all 951. And then we could check CRO readiness, but we could do our custom question. So we can simply fill in a number of questions we'd like to have an answer for. Q1, do you see strong signals at this time that this company may need or may switch to collaborating with the CDMO? Answer yes, no, or unclear. Question 2, what specific signals do we pick up that indicates that they might want to work with or need to work with the CDMO? Q3, summarize the lead program for which they may need CDMO services, including name, modality, mechanism of action, target, and formulation information, formulation info, etc. listed in bullets. And then Q4, summarize shortly the state of the company and what they do in a couple of minutes. And also answer each of those questions in a new line. So we can basically say here to the AI what questions it needs to answer, and it will look at a bunch of documents for each company. So for each company, we could let the AI search for these topics, and it will search them in the 30 most recent publications, 30 most recent patents, same for grants, news articles, clinical trials if they would have that, and the website information. So I just copy this here. I select my query and I include or drug or antibody, and I could include a few options, but let's say in his profile now, he needs to analyze this, and I want to save this input. So I need to type this again. So if I click evaluate, it will now run through all these 950 something companies and do the search for each of those on this topic, gather all these documents, process it to answer these 4 questions. So then in a couple of minutes, I did just before this, in 5 minutes, it was ready. And then you get this kind of Excel. So it's an exported information on the company, the about, the location, the funding round, last funding round, a year, funding, number of employees, therapeutic areas that they focus on, the sub-areas, modalities and sub-modalities, link to the profile, of course, and LinkedIn and website, etc. So that's basically the info you get, but of course we are interested in what is the AI saying. So we have here the ask anything. We can now see that the AI has mentioned. So let's say for this one, yes, it thinks it's good for CDMO. 2 parallel programs where IND enabling studies are ongoing, are imminent, NIH-backed, proceed to clinical testing. So that seemed to be a good indication. Then some other things in the patents that signals this, a classical trigger point, a recent press release. So again, it's using that. And here you have some information on what they have, the specific information on the target, on the modality, etc. And anything it finds about this on our data map in the company. Then a summary of the company. Let's pick another company here. Interesting. Here it picks up a signal that they have a job opening for principal scientist in process development, citing external manufacturing responsibility. So that's again a good idea, maybe already working with the CDMO or they're very active working for this. Additional, here, interesting, we also have additional job postings for this kind of roles that signal the same thing. So again, you have this kind of information that helps you to assess these companies. It is possible to throw this, if it's still going manually through these now, which we already, a lot of work has been done now to analyze each company based on the research activities and the website information. But you could also throw this into Copilot, ChatGPT, and Gemini, whatever you use. And then it will use the specific information in this sheet to pull up, okay, which companies are now most promising for us, and maybe segment by region. So you can always generate this report and then put it into an AI and LLM to generate something based in this data and make your life easier in prospecting. Of course, you could just filter by country. Let's say if you only want to find those in Belgium. So let's see in Belgium, we can see those. We could go by a funding amount if that would be helpful. So yeah, there's different options you can pick with. I hope this helps. Happy to personally guide you through this use case. Happy to, as a founder, help every single user to figure out the right workflows, how to use the AI in the best way to find exactly what you need in minimum amount of time and to maximize the opportunity for you. So hope this helps and looking forward to help you in further steps. All right, take care. Bye-bye.